Welcome to Kicking and Eating, where we break bread and talk about martial arts and what's happening. I'm your host, Shihan Chef Ya Sigidi. And before we begin, I would like to thank all my subscribers and everyone who watches the channel. It's been a year and we still doing it. Today we're going to continue doing the recipe for Hanshi Brown Sugar Williams. We already did the sauce. We already did the broccoli. Today we're going to do the brown rice. But I also like to say again, thank you so much for everyone who has been tuning in to the channel and subscribing and knowing the lives and times of these martial artists who have been doing things in the community. Let's go. Kicking and eating. We talk about martial arts and what's happening. Kicking and eating, kicking and eating. We breaking bread on the spot thing. Kicking and eating, kicking and eating, kicking and eating with my guests. That's a sure thing. Kicking and eating, kicking and eating. Our praise is due to the one that made all things. So you have Khalid, Tahiri, and
No,
Jelani.
Tahir.
Tahir, sorry. Yeah,
Yeah,
actually, one of my friends' name is Tahir.
yes.
Khalid always talk about how he called you Superwoman.
I know. He always
He
says that.
said the woman with all different arms like Shiva, doing so many things. And he was telling me how you work today and went to school at night. And he used to stay up until you got home. Talk about that.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
he would, he would be up,
Mm-hmm.
you know, because when he was small, I was going to the College of New Rochelle to finish up my undergrad.
Mm-hmm.
So I would go to work, get off of work about 4:30, walk down to the DG 37 building where
Mm-hmm.
my classes were, and then take the train home. So I wouldn't get home sometimes until 9:30, 10 o'clock, 10:30,
Wow.
you know, and he would be up,
Mm-hmm.
you know, waiting for mommy to get home. He'd be in the bed, but he'd be awake,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and that's pretty much how it's always been,
Yeah. Yeah.
like he's my oldest,
Mm-hmm.
but he's definitely, the one that,
Support.
yeah, like he helped to, put some things in perspective for me.
Yes. 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 Okay. Meeting your husband. All right, Mr. Williams. All
Hmm.
right. How did you know that he was the right one? And matter of fact, how did you meet? Tell us about that.
We met through football.
Uh, uh,
Yeah, because he was Khalid's football coach at
wow.
Christ the King,
Uh,
and yeah, that's how we met.
so what he was your coach. So what did he say?
Well,
I got. He said I
he
got practice for him the other day. Could you come over? Okay.
no, like he
Hmm.
would, like he would show up in the mornings. We had a touchdown club.
Okay.
So, and I was in charge of merchandise. I had T-shirts, sweatshirts, all kind of Chrysler King football merchandise in the trunk of my car that we used to ride around with, and be selling at the games and whatever.
Yeah.
So on Saturday mornings we had breakfast
Mm-hmm.
that we would sell, and that would help to raise some funds, for the little things that we needed for the touchdown club or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And we had bagels and coffee.
Wow.
And the coffee, I understand, was bad. I never drank any of the coffee.
Uh-huh.
He would come and he would buy a cup of coffee. He would come in with a cup of coffee and buy a cup of coffee.
Uh.
And the coffee, it wasn't until years later, he's like, that coffee was terrible, y'all. You know, but yeah, like it would be little things like that. I really wasn't paying him much attention
Uh-huh.
at all, and it wasn't until after the season had ended that it was like, oh, maybe he was trying to talk to me, you know. So, we started, talking more frequently, and here we are now.
What is one of your
14 years
first
later.
dates you went on?
Oh, where did we go? Well, we argue about this, that the our first date, which really I guess wasn't a date. Don't tell him I said that. Um,
He gonna
What
see the podcast.
I know was we had gone to a football game,
Mm-hmm.
New York City versus Long Island,
Mm-hmm.
and
Was
I
his was your
tell
son
him
playing?
no,
So
yes,
that's
he was
technically a
he was
date.
he was a freshman. I was like, I told him, I said, no, it was a date. He was like, no, it wasn't a date. You were there, I was there.
Yep, and your
That's a
son
date.
wasn't playing.
I was like, no, that's a date. But no, the first date we had, we actually we went bowling.
Okay,
The
that
first
sounds good.
real the first real date we had
Yeah, yeah.
was we went bowling. But
Mm.
yeah, we I always tease him. I was like, no, that was a date. The fact that you didn't know it was a date is your problem.
What a few of the attributes you love about him?
He lets me be me.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
I'm a lot.
yeah.
And I know
Mhm,
that I'm a very strong personality.
mhm, mhm.
So it takes a particular type of individual to
Yes,
deal
yes,
with all of this.
yes, 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 yes.
you know, and he has his own interests,
Mhm,
you know. So that's important too, because, sometimes people don't have their own interests
mhm,
and they want to try to fit themselves into what you're doing, and they can't,
mhm, mhm.
you know. So that causes problems, or they want to stop you from doing what you do because it's not what they're into.
Yeah, yeah,
And that causes problems too, like
yeah,
you gotta be your own individual.
yeah, yeah. And I see he's a handyman.
Yes, he is a handyman.
I
You
see him.
know.
I saw him build that little that set outside. I said, "Oh my goodness."
No, he's very handy.
Uh.
So that helps.
Mhm.
'Cause,
Mhm.
when you live in a house,
Yeah.
crap breaks down and you can't call housing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yep.
you gotta have somebody in the house that can, wield a
Mhm.
hammer or screw some stuff in.
Mhm. And I see how many pets you have. How many dogs you have?
I got two,
What are the names?
Polo and Simba.
Uh,
Simba is a Pomeranian and Polo is a Johnson Bulldog.
I guess that was Simba that just said.
Yes.
He heard the name. Let's go into a different topic. Let's talk about your opinion on the state of the education system
Mhm.
today.
Well, coming out of a pandemic,
Hmm.
mm,
Or you could give me a comparisons to when you first started to now.
Yeah, that's another one of those loaded questions. Like when I first started teaching 20 years ago, things were a little different. There was a little bit more room for creativity
Yes.
in education.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a licensed special ed teacher,
Okay.
you know, and I was a special ed teacher for 15 years
Mm.
before I moved on to be an instructional coach.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, being a special ed teacher in a school in District 17 in a neighborhood that is socioeconomically depressed,
Mm-hmm.
there wasn't a lot of resources,
Mm-hmm.
and we had a lot of kids back then. Because when I first started at the school, PS 398, we
Mm-hmm.
had close to 900 students,
Mm.
you know, and I was a fifth grade self contained teacher,
Mm.
teaching 12 to 1, which
Mm-hmm.
is 12 kids with one teacher and a para.
Mm-hmm.
And there were three of those classes on the fifth grade, along with three other general ed classes. So there was
Mm-hmm.
6 classes altogether on the fifth grade alone,
Mm-hmm.
you know, um,
What is the
and I didn't get much.
Sorry about that, my sister. What is
Hmm.
the criteria for a child being put in special ed?
It depends,
Mm-hmm.
you know, some of it, is- and just being honest, some of it is that you got teachers that just don't know how to deal with us,
Yes. Yes.
and I'm saying us because the majority of students that are in special education are black and brown.
Yes. Yes.
So you come in and you're a little, you know, antsy, or you might be a little rude, or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Teachers don't know how to deal with you. They escalate the situation, and now you become a problem. And you become a problem too frequently, then somebody's looking to refer you to special education. You
Yeah.
know, I don't think enough parents in our communities know their rights as far as special education is concerned. And
Mm-hmm.
don't get me wrong, as a special education teacher, there are students that are there that need those services,
Yes. Yes.
but special education is just that. It's a service. It's
Mm-hmm.
not a place where you go to die, you
Yeah.
know. And all too often, our kids go there, and that's just it. They just go there with no hope of ever becoming a general education student or a
Mm-hmm.
student without an IEP. You
Yeah.
know, I have a few students that I taught in kindergarten, and I'm still in contact with them, and they had IEPs when they came in kindergarten.
Mm.
They was labeled speech and language impaired.
Mm.
But these are now young people who have graduated from some of the most prestigious colleges that we have here in
Wow.
New York
Wow.
without an IEP.
Wow.
You know,
Yeah.
Stony Brook, Brooklyn College, like
Mm.
they've
Mm.
gone on to do well.
Yeah. Yeah.
But they had parents that supported them,
Mm-hmm.
and they were in contact with the school. If we do this here and you do this at home, we should start to see some movement. And the
Yeah.
parents, they believed in us, and we said do certain things, they did it.
Mm-hmm.
You
Yeah.
know,
Mm-hmm.
but to your question about the state of education now, like us coming out of a pandemic, I mean, it really showed a lot of holes in the
Yeah.
educational system. I mean, I think about how the mayor and the then chancellor, Carranza,
Mm-hmm.
got up and said, "Oh, every student is going to have a device."
A laptop.
Like we're closing down schools today, and everyone's going to have a device. Well, if everybody could have a device, then everybody should have had a device before the pandemic,
Yes.
right? So you have families who were not getting devices until weeks after the pandemic was well
Months.
in,
Yeah.
months even,
Yeah.
right? Then you have families that are living in shelters,
Mhm.
right? So there wasn't a lot of coordination between the DOE
Mhm.
and the Department of Homeless Services.
And how about the ones with no Wi-Fi?
Right, because they didn't have Wi-Fi,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
There's
Yes.
Wi-Fi in the building, but the families are not able to utilize the Wi-Fi.
Mhm.
But you got families who have children who need the Wi-Fi in order to attend school.
Mhm.
Because now, if they don't attend school, we can call in a case of educational neglect against
Yes.
the parent. But it's not the parent's fault that they don't have Wi-Fi.
Yes.
You,
Yes.
you know, like something has to give,
Mm. Mm.
and now we're, you know, pivoting again,
Yeah.
and everybody's going back into schools.
Mhm.
People have been out of the buildings. Some of us, well, I've been in the buildings, but there have been students and staff who have been out of the buildings since March of 2020.
Mhm.
You know,
Wow.
and these poor young people, they've lost a lot.
Mm.
They have lost a lot. Like education, it just didn't hit the same trying to do it remotely.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Especially when you had schools. While there were some schools, depending on what district the school was in and what zip code, and the school fell in, there were some schools that were more equipped
Mhm.
than others because they had the technology. Their teachers have been using it, the students have been using it, whatever,
Yeah.
you know. But that wasn't the case for most of the kids.
Mm.
Most of the kids were going to schools that weren't equipped with
Mhm.
technology prior to the pandemic.
Mhm.
They didn't know how to type and access Google Classroom and all these other platforms. Like that's a whole skill set.
Yeah.
And it becomes hard trying to show somebody how to do that
Mm. Mm.
online,
Mm.
especially if I don't know how to do it myself. Like
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
trying to
Yeah.
learn,
Yeah.
now I'm trying to teach you at the same time, like this,
Mhm.
and I have to teach,
Yeah. Yeah.
and you got people popping in your class, like you know, it
Mhm.
it mm, it was bananas, but you know, I hope that families got an opportunity to see, to some degree, though, what it takes to educate your student.
Yeah, I know a
You
lot of
know,
parents.
you know,
I know.
because
I know a
you
lot
know,
of parents I knew. They was like, "Oh my God,
yeah,
hurry up, open. This
you
is."
know,
I'm
because
to. One of the things that I learned from that is that when with my daughter with my daughters, like my daughters are older now, but I know one of the things with me is that when the kids came home or when they finished their homework, we I always checked it. You know what I mean?
mhm,
I always checked their homework. Their mother always checked their homework. So I think when the situation happened with the pandemic, I think on our side, we were already doing the due diligence. We were already doing the the checking their homework, the making sure certain things are done. Um, my kid's mother, she's very much into the PTA. She's very
mhm,
much into talking to the teachers, emailing the teachers, um, communication. If they're not doing certain things in school, let me know how I could help and things like that. Um, do you think that parents should be part of of the PTA?
absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, 'cause don't get me wrong, I was not a PTA parent, you know, um, but I was aware of what was going on in the school,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't have a problem going up there at any time, to find out what was going on or to even check the school
Yeah, yeah.
when, because my kids will tell you, I would check them when they were wrong, but if the school was wrong, I'm going up there to check them as well.
Mm, mm.
And I was equal opportunity as far as that was concerned. But I think that it's important for parents to be involved in school and in the decision making
Mm-hmm.
in school. When it comes, and when I say decision making, I'm not just talking about whether or not we're going to have a winter play or not, but what curriculum are we going to use?
Yes, yes,
You
yes.
know, hiring of
Mm.
staff.
Yes, yes.
I want to be on that hiring board
Mm-hmm.
in the school to see who these people are, because everybody who's in front of your kids teaching are not necessarily there for the right reasons, and some of them are just not good. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
listen, I know some fabulous teachers who
Mm-hmm.
could teach if you didn't give them anything. They could
Mm-hmm.
they could still make a lesson out of nothing.
Yeah, yeah.
But then I know some teachers who really need to think about retiring or going on to find another profession. This is just
Yeah.
not the place for you. And
Mm-mm.
it's critical that you have the right people in front of kids, because these are live. It's a live commodity. It's
Yeah.
not like we're making baskets, and if you make a mistake and you get a faulty basket and the bottom falls out, the
Mm.
person just goes to the store and exchanges it for another. These are human beings who are going to be going on making important decisions in the
Mm-hmm.
world. So you want to make sure that they are equipped to be the thinkers that we
Yes.
need.
Mm.
You know,
What do you think about charter schools?
I'm not a fan.
You're not a fan?
I'm not a fan.
All right.
You
Why?
know, I don't believe that charter schools are held to the same
Standards?
standard that public schools are held to.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't have a problem with them getting public funds and getting funding from other sources. I don't have a problem with that.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're getting public funds, then you got to be held to the same standard that public schools are held to. We are,
Mm-hmm.
Public schools are criticized based on test scores. Like
Okay.
that's the alpha and the omega for a public school.
Mm.
That's what keeps you in business or closes you down,
Mm-hmm.
right? But those same scores are not publicized and wielded as weapons against charter schools.
Hmm.
And many charter schools, while they may take in, students with IEPs or students who are learning English for the first time,
Mm-hmm.
they get to handpick
Yeah.
who they choose and who stays.
Yes, yes,
The
yes.
public school, you get this kid, and the kid can't speak English, and they're new to the country, and you don't have anybody in your building who
Mm.
speaks their
Mm.
language.
Mm.
Oh, well, then you got to figure that out. We
Yeah.
can't just farm them out to another school
Mm-hmm.
because we can't. We have to figure it out, you know?
Mm-hmm. And
So,
what is the percentage of African Americans in the public school system?
oh, goodness. We're probably somewhere about 65 to 80%.
Mm. 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 Do you think that that they get um a fair education compared to other nationalities?
It depends on where you go. If your school is located in the right zip code,
Mm-hmm.
then probably,
Mm.
but if it's not, your school is going to be underfunded.
Mm-hmm. What is your opinion on sex education now being taught in the school system?
I think it should be.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, kids need to know what to do. They don't need to be learning out in the street.
Uh-huh.
And if your parents are not comfortable in having that conversation, it at least needs to be an adult, a knowledgeable adult there to at least give you the basics,
Mm-hmm.
so you're not just going out there, you know, unprepared.
Yeah, yeah.
Like that is what happened to a lot of us as young people. When you didn't have sex ed being taught in school, people went out there unprepared,
Yeah,
not
yeah.
knowing.
Mm-hmm.
and then here it is, you're 14, 15 years old, and you've
Hmm.
got a kid or two.
Yeah, yeah. And when you think about because I went to music and not, and then they had a performance, and they had unisex bathrooms. You know, you had boys and girls going to the same bathrooms. What do you think about that?
I, you know, I don't know. I think that it's, I guess if you are part of the transgender community,
Mm-hmm.
you
Mm-hmm.
have to, I think it makes sense.
Yeah.
You know, it's not always something that I guess we all understand,
Mm-hmm.
especially since, you know, I mean, like, we've been hearing about lesbians and gays
Mm-hmm.
for a long time, and then bisexual, and and as the community grows,
Yeah, the
you know,
LGBTQ.
yes,
Mm-hmm.
we start to hear about, other um gender options,
Yes,
you
yes.
know. So, I think that, they people of the LGBTQ community, they
Mm-hmm.
deserve to be treated like everybody else,
Mm-hmm.
So there has to be some level of understanding,
Yes, yes,
you
yes.
know. But it's tough,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and it's tough. I don't think that there's enough. I just think that the rhetoric that's out there, is just too harsh,
Mm-hmm.
and is not enough good information always being, presented in the right places so
Yeah.
that people could understand,
Mm-hmm.
but my daughter went to the Academy for Careers in Television and Film
Mm-hmm.
in Long Island City, and they had, unisex bathrooms there.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, you have to include folks,
Mm-hmm.
you know, just because it's not your lifestyle or you may not understand it,
Yeah, yeah.
doesn't mean that you get to exclude.
Yeah, yeah. That's definitely true. That's definitely true.
The one that made all things jumbo, 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 jumbo. Big up the ranks that's hitting like gumbo. Podcast lit like power with a jitsu. 8 feet down from bouncy to bolo. Fire with the topics when I interview. It's easy to gritty like sharp as Sue. Each one teach one, then we continue. Build and destroy all negative around you. Spilling all the beans so we could grow and feed you. Like and subscribe so we could later hit you.